Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. It is June 13, 2017, and it's 1:56 a.m. in Birmingham. The topic, we're going to Revelations 12, but what we're going to do is bypass the first few verses. This is actually a verse-by-verse discussed, chapter 12, 1 through 17. But we're going to skip down about 6 verses after the birth, after the king's star, after the woman. And I want you to keep in mind the woman who gave birth is Israel. Keep in mind, this is a depiction in the sky what is going on the ground. And listen to this, and you'll get a lot of insight and understanding. Now, when the woman gives birth, Satan, the reason his tail swipes, the serpent tail swipes, is because he is cast out of heaven. There's a battle in heaven. He lost. He's cast out. And we're going to pick it up from the time he is cast out, where he continues to go after the woman, which is Israel. So here we go.
Heaven rejoices at the eviction of Satan, but heaven's gain is the earth's loss. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and sea. Satan's power is real and terrifying, but not because he is triumphant, but because he knows he is beaten, and he has a short time left. Like a wounded, cornered animal, he can fight with great ferociousness. Why doesn't he just give up? Don't forget that Satan is utterly depraved and probably insane. He may have deceived even himself into thinking that he has a chance. A better question is, why don't we give up? Our rebellion against God makes even less sense than Satan's. Revelation 12:13. And when the dragon saw that he was thrown down to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. Revelation 12:14. But the 2 wings of the great eagle were given to the woman, so that she could fly into the wilderness to her place, where she was nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the presence of the serpent. Revelation 12:15. And the serpent poured water like a river out of his mouth after the woman, so that he might cause her to be swept away with the flood. Revelation 12, verse 16. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and drank up the river which the dragon poured out of his mouth. Satan attacks the woman. God protects her. Some have taught that the woman is a symbol that represents all the people of God, including faithful Israel and the church. They'll use this to advance their idea that the church is here during the tribulation period. But if the woman represents all the people of God, the church and faithful Israel, then who are the rest of her offspring? It is better to see her as Israel in general, or Messianic Jews in particular. The fury poured out against Israel after the abomination of desolation, marking the halfway point of the final 7 years of man's rule on earth, was spoken of by Jesus in Matthew 24, verses 15 through 22, and spoken of in distinctly Jewish terms. Housetop, pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath. This passage in Revelation is the fury that Jesus told them to flee. Eagle's wings are an emblem from the Exodus deliverance, Exodus 19, verse 4, another way of connecting this people who were delivered with Israel. Some have wondered if the reference of the 2 wings of a great eagle does not in fact describe a great military transport plane used to evacuate people in an emergency situation. Revelation 12, verse 17. So the dragon was enraged with the woman, and went off to make war with the rest of her children, who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. The wrath of the dragon is focused against God's people. This may be a reference to Israel, or specifically believing Jews, and Gentiles, the rest of her offspring. This either begins or continues the fierce persecution of all those who would not submit and worship to this great satanic dictator. The martyrs of this period were shown to us in Revelation 6, verses 9 to 11, and 7, verses 9 to 17. It is precisely when Satan has lost the battle for the souls of saints in heaven that he begins the fruitless persecution of their bodies.
Guys, that's in a nutshell when Satan knows that he lost. He not only lost in heaven, was cast down to earth, he was cast down and he was pissed off. And those who were cast down with him, a third of the angels. And they're just going to start destroying people, everything. It's not that he has a specific hatred toward everyone. It's just that he has a specific hatred toward God, and he's going to try to destroy everything that God created. He lost. He can't destroy the Jews. He got close. He got down to one person carrying the bloodline of Jesus, but he didn't quite get there. And also you notice that he said that the church would not be here during this final time, and we won't. So just take that and let that kind of give you peace and knowing that when all hell breaks loose, you're not going to be here. Jody Wolf Expoz.